Hello, everyone, and welcome to Peaceful Anarchism on the Voluntary Virtues Network every Thursday at 1 p.m. And you can also find me on the theseedsofliberty.com and theconsciousresistance.com. So today we have Kallen Diggs, who's a voluntarist, international best-selling author of Reaching the Finish Line book. He's also a career strategist, and he was featured in Fast Company magazine, as well as interviews on Alex Jones, Anarchast with Jeff Berwick, Sirius XM, and countless AM/FM radio stations. So he's been all over. You can, if you can catch him, you're a lucky person. So he's got a website, reachingthefinishline.com, and if you want to follow him on Facebook, just look for him by his name, Kallen Diggs. So Kallen, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So before we get into the book and what you do with regarding the entrepreneurship, can you just get into a little bit of your background, like how you became a voluntarist and what got you down the path of questioning the status quo?
Sure. Well, it started. I want to say towards the beginning of college. I guess when I was in high school, I guess I was the typical liberal or Democrat, as they would call it. And really, I didn't know what to believe. It was just more of a collectivist mindset. Okay, this is what they believe, so this means what I'm supposed to believe. And being at a young age, I didn't really put a lot of thought into politics until I got much older. And as I graduated from high school, went into college, I got a bit more curious. I wanted to kind of have a better understanding of beliefs and why and how systems work, and which ones were sustainable and which ones others have known to be failures. And there was one guy that really made sense, and that was Ron Paul. And from there, I was following him ever since he started with his first campaign in 2008. And I followed him all the way up until he gave up when his last one was successful. But he really kind of started me on my path to the message of liberty.
Cool. Yeah. Ron Paul. He's one of the gateway drugs for a lot of voluntarists, or an anarchist, but he doesn't really consider himself an anarchist, I guess. But so, in that sense, I think he was one of the most influential politicians, that there is, spreading the true message of liberty, right? So, it's really cool. So you have the book, Reaching the Finish Line. So can you give us a bit of a background of that book? And there it is.
Yeah. So I originally wrote the book because I was getting overwhelmed. It came to a point where I was getting 25 emails a day. People asking me to personally work with them, and eventually I couldn't. It's only one of me. I couldn't. I didn't have that time to devote to those people. So I figured it would be best just to write a book, and that's what I did. So I wrote the book, Reaching the Finish Line. And the book has been an international bestseller. Had a lot of great feedback from the book so far, and basically the book is a result of years and years of work of me being able just helping people. My prior business experience, my prior experience in the trenches, as far as being in several cities all across the U.S. Just kind of trying to get in the feel of the U.S. the economy, and just kind of measure up to see if what mainstream media was saying was actually accurate or not. So with all that experience and putting it all together, I wrote the book. And the book basically helps you to be able to reach the finish line in their careers. So you have three types of people. The first type you have are people who hate their job. And unfortunately, only 30% of Americans like their job. So obviously they want to get out their job, probably to a job that aligns more with their passions, something that they could look forward to going to work every day so they can feel more fulfilled. Do you have the second group who, they're in a job, but they want to be their own boss. So they want to make the transition to be an entrepreneur. But, for some people, it may be a bit more tedious than others. But that's the second group of people. And the third group of people are people who are entrepreneurs, but they're struggling, so they are their own boss, and they probably making, let's say, I don't know, like $1,500-$1,600 a month, but they want to make more. They want to scale. They want to have more increased volume of business, and I help those people as well. So those like my three target demographics of people that I usually work with.
Awesome, awesome. So before you wrote the book, you also had background starting various businesses yourself as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so yeah, mostly it was in real estate. So that was kind of that was the majority of my background. My grandfather was in business. He used to basically offer corporate consulting to a lot of Fortune 500 companies. So he used to kind of help businesses to be able to improve their bottom line, so they could be more successful in their profit margins, so they could retain more employees, and basically the business could be obviously an attractive employer to the public. So from there, learning for a while, learning from him, it kind of gave me an idea, kind of where to go, and I kind of started. As a young person, as a teenager, it was quite funny because I was actually giving career advice to people that was looking up to my father, and people they used to laugh at me. They was like, why should I listen to you? You're old enough to be my son. But a lot of that knowledge was from my grandfather. But eventually that started to have a lot of results with people. People started, seeing great results, and from there, it was something that I knew that was working. And then when the Great Recession happened, really I felt like it was a great opportunity to really persist with it. I didn't do it full time. I started a real estate company, so I was also doing that. So I was kind of doing it like kind of dual. I had this on the side and I had the other one. I was doing as well. So, but eventually, real estate is great and I enjoy it. I still invest in real estate passively. But I really wanted to do this as far as helping people to be able to reach the finish line in their careers full time. And that's what I did. And kind of after me writing the book, that's what it became, more like me just focus on this full time. And I was successfully able to sell that real estate company.
Wow, it's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I'm always encouraging people to be entrepreneurs. It's like, I think I remember reading that in the early 20th century, something like 95% of people were entrepreneurs and 5% were employees. And today, it's virtually the opposite.
Yeah.
Right? Very little entrepreneur. Like everybody, most people have it in their mind, okay, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to go to college, get my degree, and then get a job with somebody, right, with a big company, big corporation, and with their 401k and they feel comfortable, right, and they don't want to be, it's their comfort job, right. And so, like you said, there's people that hate their job, but they're willing to sacrifice their comfort for their I guess happiness for a slight bit of security, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you meet those kind of people, right?
Oh, all the time. I always hear, I probably hear millions of times of how people hate their job, and that's unfortunate. But I really have some people that aren't willing to make sacrifices, and that's what keeps them in their job, and so I kind of help people to be able to kind of reach their finish line in their careers to whatever that is ideal for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's an amazing amount of risk and sacrifice that you have to make as an entrepreneur. There's no security, right? Your business could fail. People could stop coming to you, right, for whatever reason. It's largely dependent on reputation, right? You treat customers badly, they're gonna complain to other people, or some online forum, and there goes your reputation. So quickly, right? Maybe something that it took you years and years to build up, and a couple of people just complaining and talking to other people. It's amazing how quickly that could shatter. Right?
Yeah, I mean, but you look at the other side of the coin. I think it's just as bad. When you're an employee,
right?
You have to be. You're being told what to do, and whether you like the guy or not, you have to do it. So you can hate your boss. You can think he's an idiot, or you could probably use some other colorful words if you wanted to for the employer. And then too. Your paycheck is limited, so your paycheck has a cap. You might get a raise, and you may get another raise, but you may get capped out. So you could be working 40, 50, 60 hours for the rest of your life, and with a salary that you're not proud of.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but still, even with all that risk, and actually, me studying, voluntarism and anarcho capitalism and Austrian economics, I've really gained an appreciation for entrepreneurs, a much deeper appreciation than I previously had, because I realized that the people that put their neck on the line in order to create value to people, to customers, and then grow their business, and then they create jobs, and then people are attracted to them. They want to work under them. Like, those are the people that really create the wealth in a society. They create that high standards of living that we all appreciate, that we all take for granted. When people complain of capitalism, they are taking for granted the high standard of living and the leisure that capitalism has brought them through these enterprising and risk-taking entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it's just I feel like people still could be an entrepreneur. They just have to get away from all the noise. Like when it comes to places like Silicon Valley, when it comes to places like New York City, there are tons of people that's trying to get venture capital, or they're trying to get into accelerators or incubators, and really, those type of environments is what discourage people from being an entrepreneur, because they say, well, look at all these people competing for that money. I can't be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of cities that are rising as far as becoming kind of entrepreneurial hubs. There's one, Columbus, Ohio. So Austin, Texas has been one of rising hubs for entrepreneurship when it comes to incubators, when it comes to accelerators. But that's starting to get overcrowded, just like Silicon Valley now. But Columbus, Ohio, they're starting to create a lot. They're starting to promote a lot of their incubators and accelerators, and a lot of investors are investing in that type of city because they see a lot of innovation, a lot of tech coming out of that as well. So people that want to be entrepreneurs, I think they just should be looking in different places. Try to look away from the Silicon Valley, from the New York City, from the places like Austin, because really, unless the person is tenacious and they're going to be relentless, most likely they're going to be disappointed.
Can you explain some of those terms you used? You said incubator and what were the other terms?
Accelerators.
Yeah. Can you explain some of those terms?
Yeah, for sure. So an accelerator is where basically you have an entrepreneurial idea, and a lot of investors like it, and they will accept your idea. But what they would do is you have to sell a piece of your company. So basically, it will be like an equity stake. It would be like for example, you may sell 5% of your company, okay, for exchange for them to help you and build your company up so you can be successful. Okay, right. That's accelerator. Incubator is more like where sort of a group of seasoned professionals, sometimes retired people. They sort of provide like a school, or provide like a learning format to kind of build you up as an entrepreneur, and to kind of craft you as an entrepreneur. Your company, your elevator pitch, so that way when you approach venture capitalists, you can be able to raise money.
Okay, very nice. So when people come up to you and they say, Kallen, I'm thinking about going to college. What do you think I should study? Like what is your response to them who, thinking about going to university?
Well, it really depends on what they plan on studying. So if they don't know what they want to study, maybe they shouldn't go to college just yet. Perhaps taking a gap year, that could be very beneficial. Traveling, to either various states or different countries can give them some time to think about it, as well as it can give them some perspective, some clarity, and maybe within a year to have a better idea what they want to study. Or what they can do is they can study something like liberal arts, and where they can just start taking general education courses for the first 2 years. And then perhaps after that, maybe they have a better idea what they want to study for their final 2 years. Or if they decide, hey, I don't like college, at the very least I have an associate's degree in liberal arts. But it really depends. Like specialized careers, they should definitely go to college. I mean, no hospital is going to hire you as a doctor if you don't have a doctor's degree.
Right.
Yeah. And but at the same time, if you want to be let's say a music teacher or a musician, you don't have to go to college for that. There's a lot of tuition-free programs like the Curtis Institute of Music or the Yale University School of Music, and where basically all you have to do is audition for a position, a spot to be able to learn from renowned musicians. And if you pass the audition, you basically get tuition-free access to learn from renowned musicians. And that's just one example. I mean, they have similar programs for art and other programs, but those programs will help you avoid from becoming a student loan debt victim.
Oh yeah, big time. That's Yeah, that's the major thing that people so willingly take. It's amazing how people they're scared of credit card debt, but some of them they don't even know what they want to study. Like you just said, they're just doing liberal arts or just going to university. No, I'll probably figure it out when I get there. But in the meantime, they're getting like $50,000, $100,000 in debt, and it's like you're digging yourself into a hole. And when you leave, you really have nothing to show for it. And again, no guarantee that you're even going to get a job in your field, which most of the time I hear like something like 60-70% of them don't even get a job in their field when they leave college. And it's just tragic. And most of them, I think, get jobs that do not require college education at all. Barnes and Noble, Starbucks, Home Depot, Lowe's, Dunkin' Donuts. And it's just really, really tragic. And, it's just a waste of time, waste of money, waste of resources. And I also think that the internet, I'm sure you've noticed this too, that the internet has made possible so many possibilities that before were not there. It's just lightning fast transmission of ideas, just free long distance calls like Skype. How many different ways can you learn on the internet? And not even that, but how many different colleges and universities offer their stuff for free? Online, like what was it, like MIT and Yale, right? A lot of them offer their courses online for free. It's just, I don't know. It's just amazing how people still seem to think that college and universities is the only way, and if you don't go that way, you're going to be a failure.
Yeah, I mean, I really applaud a lot of the universities you spoke about, MIT and and Stanford, as far as having these open courseware courses where it allows students to be able to take the courses for free. I mean, they won't get a grade, but they can take the course for free and still get the same education. So right. I like the direction that's going in. My podcast, I recently interviewed Shai Reshef, and Shai Reshef is the founder and president of the University of the People, which is the first accredited U.S. tuition-free university in the United States, and really like I really like his model because it's the university is not absolutely free. You have to pay for exams, you have to pay for enrollment costs, but you're not paying for tuition. So with a model like his, like for a bachelor's degree, you'll pay $2,000. For an associate's degree, you'll pay $2,000. For a bachelor's degree, you'll pay $4,000. But that's so affordable that people won't be able to go into student loan. People won't be able to incur student loan debt because it's at a price where most people can afford.
Yeah, and it's really sad when people look at other countries like like France and Spain and Italy, and Brazil, I think, where they say that college is free, but of course it's not free. There's always going to be some cost because people are working, there's resources being used, and so as long as people are working, somebody has to pay for that, or somebody has to pay them, right? So if you're not paying for it directly, you can be damn sure that it's coming out of your paycheck, that much more than if it was charged to you directly, right? So yeah. It's unfortunate that people have this idea that labor should be for free. Wait, what? That doesn't make sense. Go ahead.
And that's what Shai is doing. Like the university is a nonprofit organization, and no one's getting taxed. Simply what it is like people from NYU, people from Columbia, a lot of these prestigious universities, they volunteer their time to be a part of this university. So it allows students to be able to learn and study with prestigious professors, and also get a quality and accredited education. And with that university, the only thing the student has to pay is end of exam fee. So every course have a final exam, and basically that's $100. But like I said, for a whole bachelor's degree program, that's only $4,000. That rivals any. That supersedes any bachelor's degree in the U.S. Most bachelor's degrees in the U.S. you'll pay anywhere between $40,000, $60,000, $80,000.
Oh yeah.
A $4,000 bachelor's degree, that's pretty much unheard of. So I really commend him for being one of the pioneers for that.
So that has absolutely no government involvement. Like that's all volunteer work, you said?
Absolutely, it's a nonprofit organization.
Wow, that's really awesome.
So the government is not involved whatsoever.
There's
no financial aid. There's no Pell Grants. There's no Sally Mae or Stafford. And this is the thing about University of People. Let's say let's say a person don't even have $4,000,
Mm-hmm.
or let's say a person can't afford to, let's say, pay $400
Mm-hmm.
or $800 per tri semester. They even have scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't even afford to pay that, so it's a great business model, and I really hope universities kind of go in that direction,
Mm-hmm.
rather than making it so expensive.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't really blame the universities either, because it's, I try to explain to people, like, if you had a business and the government says we're going to pay you regardless if you treat your customers right, regardless if you make a good quality product, we're going to pay you. Now, what is the incentive? Is the incentive to lower your price or
Of
raise
course
your
not.
price? Right? So to me, it's just like, it's the natural result of human action when given, secured funds through taxation. It's just natural, like, astronomical skyrocketing costs. Same thing happening in healthcare, astronomical. Some people think it's going to be better when Obamacare comes in, but I don't think so. It's like go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, see, that's the thing I talk about a lot, Dan. Everyone wants to look to something else. They want to look to government,
Right.
or they want to look to religion.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, it's within here. It's within you.
Mm-hmm.
That's you reach the finish line by starting in here.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people want to always look externally, but they don't want to look internally.
Yeah.
And it starts internally before you can go externally. So the people that always look to government for problems, and the people always look to those type of entities, they're never going to be happy, because they're always going to be chasing the rabbit.
Right. Can
Yeah.
you give me some examples of some of your recent clients that you helped start their business, just to get an idea?
Yeah, so there's a very popular one story that I'm proud of. It was her name is Mayida, and she was basically a mom that had a daughter, and they moved to Houston. Now, there's a lot of, how you say, I guess, a political debate about the legal and illegally, but she came here.
Mm-hmm.
Whether she came here legally, illegally, I don't care. But
It's not important anyway.
the fact was, she came here,
Right.
and she didn't speak very very good English.
Mm-hmm.
I did live abroad before, so I spoke Spanish, so I was able to communicate with her, and she didn't have a lot of skills. But one thing that I was able to do with her was eventually to work with her. But at that point in time, the only job she was able to get was working at McDonald's, and that's not a very lucrative job or position. It's kind of the bottom of the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she wanted to do something better, but she only had 10th grade education. So she didn't even graduate from high school.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, while I worked with her, I said, okay, well, let's create a LinkedIn profile for you, because, obviously, you have a daughter, you don't have time to go back to school, and then you're working about 50 hours, 55 hours at McDonald's. So the most practical thing I could do for her and help her out was build a LinkedIn profile. So basically, she built a LinkedIn profile. She had a professional picture. Basically, I kind of leveraged some of my connections to kind of help her out. But she also had a few people that she knew, and she slowly built that profile. And then she started getting endorsements. She started getting recommendations, and a lot of those things really help your LinkedIn profile. So when you do apply for jobs, or you're looking for positions, and a prospective employer look at your profile, that can definitely give you some credibility, give you some leverage. So I had her do that for about 6 months, every single day, 15 minutes on LinkedIn every single day, and then eventually she was able to land a position at a accounting firm. Basically, she was a secretary. She was kind of not very complex work, but she was able to get a job there, which was very excited for her. But she went from making $8 an hour to $14 an hour.
Oh, nice.
Now, Dan, that's not a huge success story,
Yeah.
but for a person who doesn't have a high school diploma,
Right.
and for her, she was very happy, because she was barely able to she was barely able to keep her head above water as far as paying all her bills.
Yeah.
That was really a big boost for her.
Wow.
So in that situation, I was able to help her to find her a career that she was much more happy with.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's baby steps. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I even when somebody tells me they're a high school dropout, I mean, actually, I consider that a notch, like, in their favor, because it's like the less time we spend in public school the less time is wasted, learning things that are useless, right? Because the way I look at it is like it's like 12 years spent in government school. If we were really learning useful skills, I would think that after 12 years we would, people could do more than a minimum wage job, flipping burgers or pushing buttons or filling coffee drinks. I mean, it's just kind of pitiful that people, we still value that kind of education, but they're basically the bottom of the barrel. Like the government. The way I look at it is like the government tries to disguise the fact that they really don't have any skills by imposing this minimum wage on these employers, saying you can't pay this below this, or else it's you're going to be fined or whatever. But
and that part is ridiculous. Seattle is really, I guess, leading the way when it comes to that whole $15 minimum wage, and the mayor passed the law, and now it's not in full effect, but it's basically it's kind of a gradual effect. So I believe about 2017 it will actually be $15 an hour. But the thing about it is, not only does it hurt small business, but what do you say when you're paying your employees? And after you pay all your employees, your employees end up making more money than you. Like, that's not how business works, But those type of laws, eventually it hurts small businesses. It forces small business owners to go out of business because they have to pay their employees. But by the time they have the money left over for themselves, it's actually less than what their employees are making.
Right. That's the whole idea. Is basically with any government program, what the projected or what the stated goal is. Usually the exact opposite occurs, right? So the war on poverty creates more poverty. The war on terror creates more terrorists, and minimum wage laws trying to help the the lesser experienced actually destroy their potential because it cuts off the rungs on the ladder for them to start out with and get experience and maybe do an internship. Like I remember I saw this one John Stossel video, and he was talking to a couple of the his guys his age, like in their 50s and 60s, and they were basically saying the jobs that they did when they were young, the first jobs that they did, are illegal today, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, and people still clamoring for politicians, like you said, in Seattle and various other places, raise the minimum wage, and like people in McDonald's are in various states, same thing, like raise the minimum. We deserve a living wage, right? And when they don't realize, well, you know what? If they really instituted that, you're going to be thrown out, and a machine is going to replace you because the machine can work without lunch breaks, without bathroom breaks, without vacation. Right?
Yeah. And the thing I have is people always say, I hear all this, pay me what I'm worth. Right, I hear that a whole lot. And the thing about it is, like, there's nothing wrong with giving employees raises. I mean, of course, if an employee does a good job, reward them, you give them a raise, and it gives them an incentive to stay with your company and do quality work.
Right.
But a lot of people, they want $15 an hour, but they're mediocre employees, and don't get me wrong. Like, when you take California, okay, maybe you can make an argument with $15 an hour because the cost of living there is very expensive, But when you take a state where the minimum wage is $7 an hour, and then you're asking for $15 an hour, and then basically you're an average employee, or you don't show your employer that you're worth more money, or that you're a quality employee, you don't give no incentive for an employee to pay you more money. So I think a lot of people have this entitlement mentality that I deserve more money, even though I'm not going to give of more of myself to show my boss that I'm worth more.
Right. It's not about like appealing to your politician to pass a law to force your employer to pay you more. Maybe you should make yourself more valuable. Maybe you should learn new skills. Maybe you should maybe start a business of your own. If you want to, you think $15 is a living wage, start a business of your own. Pay people $15 an hour. Do it yourself. Stop appealing to politicians to force people to do what you think is right. That's the whole immorality.
And the thing is, like, people do a lot of complaining. Well, if you accept the job, well, that's your responsibility because you accept the $7 an hour job. I mean, there's employers all across the country. Like, for example, I've helped several people as far as kind of helping people get careers up there in the back end region. And I'm not sure you're familiar with that, Dan, but that's up there in North Dakota, Western North Dakota, where there's a huge oil boom. And now these companies have nothing to do with the government, but they are desperate for employees. And as long as a person has the physical aptitude, they'll pay an employee anywhere between $20 to $30 an hour entry level. That means you don't have to have no college degree, nothing. They just, like I said, they want employees that has the physical aptitude, that can do the work. It's very tedious work, but if they can do the work, they pay well. And like I said, it has nothing to do with the government, and it's just the private sector.
Right,
That's
right.
the way they want to attract employees, because it's a very hard labor job, but at the same time, the companies are willing to pay well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I mean, it's like people say, pay me what I'm worth. It's like, well, what about like movie stars? Like they get millions of dollars per movie. Like, are they getting paid what they're worth? I think so. It's like,
Yeah.
can you be Brad Pitt in his movies? No, there's only
Yeah.
one Brad Pitt, and he's
Yeah.
paid millions of dollars because that's his value. That's what he's contributing. And if you can do that, then do that. And if you
Yeah.
can't, then maybe it's your problem. Maybe you need to learn more skills and stop blaming your employer for, again, like you said, for a job that you voluntarily signed up for.
Uh-huh.
That's,
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of great employers out there that pay very well, and when it comes to the criteria as far as being hired as an employee, all those criteria for those employers are not always high. There's a lot of employers that will allow you to work from home. There are several employers that will offer you unlimited paid time off, or they call it unlimited vacation, or they call it open paid time off. There's a lot of employers that have different models, but it goes back to the private sector. It has nothing to do with government. So if a person is really diligent and they wanna make more money, or they want to have a more enjoyable work life, well, those companies are out there. You just have to look for them.
yeah, 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 yeah. And I heard another interesting analogy about the minimum wage. It's like the guys that say in the dating the dating scene, the guys that can't get the women, they're the kind of guys that would want to clamor to their politicians. I want a minimum sex law passed so that I can get minimum. It's illegal for me not to have sex, like, right? So it's the
Oh,
people that don't get it, that basically don't deserve it. Maybe they're not impressing women. They don't know how to talk to women. They don't know interpersonal skills.
I
you know.
sure hope it doesn't go that far.
I mean, it's funny, but that's essentially the same thing. It's like in the dating market, people don't get together because they're forced to get together, like because by
Yeah.
law or by regulation. No, people get together because you want to spend time with another person, right? It's completely
Yeah.
voluntary, completely consensual, and it's anarchy. The anarchy is in the dating world. So it's the same thing with with businesses. I mean, I'm sure maybe there's some employers that are like maybe don't treat their employees well. Well, then maybe they're going to lose employees and their business is going to suffer. It's like that,
Yeah.
right? That doesn't mean that you clamor to politician to institute more violence against him. You just say, okay, I'm not going to work for you. I'm going to find someplace else. It's a simple solution. Social ostracism, I think, is a great solution to these problems that people feel like only the government can solve, right?
For sure, and I'm glad you brought that up, because kind of going to why employers can't keep employees, and what a lot of employers are trying to do is they're find new ways that they can increase employee retention, and one way, as I spoke about earlier, is called unlimited PTO, which is unlimited paid time off, and a lot of companies like Twitter, CarMax, Prezi, Sail Through. What they do is basically, as long as the employee demonstrates their quality work and that they're a good asset to the company, the employer wants the employee to feel well rested. They want to have a good sense of well-being, so they allow their employees to take as many days off as they want to, as long as they're getting their projects done at work.
Right, right,
So,
right.
and I think that's a great
Wow,
incentive.
that's
Yeah,
nice. Oh shoot, that's very nice.
yeah.
I just remembered, going back to McDonald's. I actually, I used to work as an acupuncturist in a car accident clinic, and we treated mostly Hispanic people, and a lot of them did have, I guess, minimum wage jobs, right? And a lot of them that did work in McDonald's, stuff like that, I like to ask them, like, do you like your job? Do you enjoy your job, right? And most of them do. Actually, the ones that I talk to, most of them say, yeah, actually they treat me pretty well, and especially because when they come over here and they don't speak English much, it's only those jobs that are still willing to hire them, and because they don't necessarily have to be expert in English to work at those jobs, right? And they basically learn English on the spot, right, on the job, and they gain valuable skills as a result. So they're actually grateful.
Yeah, and that was talking about earlier. Maida, the person
right.
she started at McDonald's.
Yeah,
like I said, her English wasn't good.
Yeah,
and that was kind of one of the few employers that was willing to give her a chance.
Yeah. So it's really amazing, and I think people tend to forget the value that these kind of companies add to society. Like, when they're always trying to look for laws and regulations to rein in these evil capitalists and make sure there's no exploitation, whereas you have to realize that, actually a lot of people go there because they want to work there, not because they're forced to work there, but because they want to work there. Nobody's forced. Like, it's a fundamental difference between that and slavery. It's consensual. You have a contract, you fill out the form, the paperwork, you read all the stipulations, and then you sign on the dotted line. Right, that's consensual. It's not exploitation. Like, the moment you feel exploited, okay, you tell your boss, and if he doesn't do anything about it, then you can leave. You have other choices. You're not bound to stay there, right? So
yeah, and that's what people need to do. If they don't like how much money they're making, they need to do more due diligence. Do some Googling and look out there and see what other employers are willing to pay more and perhaps offer a lower bar of entry. And sometimes they may have to be flexible and move, but if making more money is really what they want to do, or is really what they want to have in their life, then that's something they should consider. But to complain and expect government to change things and turn things around, I mean, they could be waiting for the rest of their life for that. And like I said, it's not the government's job to do that. Right. It's if anything, if a person wants to be more attractive as a candidate, they need to work on their skill set. Or like I said, if they do have a skill set and they're still struggling, like I said, there's lots of employers out there. The economy is booming in Texas. Economy is booming in North Dakota. There's lots of other cities where there's booming economies that people can find these jobs. As I talked about before, there's work at home employers, and where you could get paid $12, $13, $14 an hour from just staying at your home and having this headset and maybe having a cell phone and doing that as well. And again, if a person, let's say, they don't want to work as hard, they don't like 40-hour work weeks, well, you can refer to those jobs that offer unlimited paid time off. And so that's what I'm saying. There's so many options. It's just, I feel like the easy and the lazy way out is to complain about it and to expect government to change things around for you.
Right. It's like it's like, when I tell people that, maybe you should build up the skill set, maybe you should, and they're a simple, no, government should take care of it. That's the simple solution. And I'm like, wait, no. Stop deflecting, your own shortcomings or your own weaknesses, and you should confront them, right? And you should say, maybe I need to learn something new, maybe I can offer a different company something better, and it's my problem, really. It's not my employer. It's not that my employer is evil. It's not, maybe he's actually trying to struggle to get all the things that he's trying to deal with, all the expenses and all the decision making that he's trying to deal with, maybe that's really what he's worried about, and he's not really trying to exploit me. Like, people have this idea that that the guy above him, like these CEOs, they're just sitting in their offices playing solitaire, making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're not doing anything, and we're doing all the work. Well, you know what? I mean, the way I tell people is like, if you work in, let's say, somebody's working at a minimum wage job like McDonald's, right? And you make a mistake, let's say you make a big mistake and you cost the company, let's say, a couple $100, and then you made such a bad mistake that they fire you. Okay, so that's one job, and they can rehire somebody, and they just lost, a couple $100. A CEO in charge of thousands of jobs and hundreds of thousands of dollars of capital makes a mistake. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are lost. Tens of thousands of jobs are sacrificed. Like, that's a major. I think that's worth what they're getting paid. For the most part. So, what do you think?
Agreed.
It's helpful for people to put it into perspective, because it's like a lot of people, especially like the Occupy Wall Street people, they got this idea of Marxist exploitation, and it's like whatever. What do they say? Like all about equality. I mean, actually, a lot of people that study economics, because I talk about economics with a lot of people, and some people who study economics in university, what they learn is Marxist economics, right? And so basically, they're learning all about like
it's more like what do you call it? Keynesianism, right?
Keynesianism.
Yeah.
That's a little. I think that's like in the middle, and then even further.
That's in the middle, okay.
Yeah, in the further is like Marxist economics, where they're talking more about like worker-owned companies, which there are a lot of worker-owned companies, but they're just not really that successful. They're not really big because it's like the way I look at it. If you were to put the decision-making process in the hands of the minimum wage job of minimum wage worker that the CEO has the experience to make, I think that company is going to suffer. Big time.
Yeah, and the Occupy Wall Street people, the people who the pay me what I'm worth people, all those people, like, I understand their frustrations, but their solution is the wrong way to go about it.
Right.
Because it's like okay, let's say they get paid $15 an hour. Okay, well inflation. Well, they get paid $15 an hour, and then there is inflation. Well, eventually, since there is inflation, and since what they make, and if the cost of living goes up, well, that's going to put in the back gunner. So what they have to do again? Ask the government for another raise. So it's going to be $30 an hour, and then it's going to keep going up and up like that. It's not practical. It's not sensible. I think it's just, like I said, it's best if the employee or the person who's interested in making more money just look to the private sector, because like I said, there's lots of employers who are happy to pay more money.
And another concept I like to tell people is that 1964, before silver was removed from the coinage, so the quarters, dimes, and half dollars were 90% silver, right? And 1964, the minimum wage was $1.25, right? So 90% silver quarters, right? So fast forward to today, minimum wage is $7, $7.50, something like that.
On average, yeah.
Yeah, on average, and then you have to ask yourself, in order to understand the difference between $1.25 in 90% silver quarters and $7.50 in crap, counterfeit toilet paper trash currency, you really have to realize how much does it cost to purchase a 90% silver quarter today, right? So it's approximately, it's been going down recently, but it's approximately $4. For $2015 to purchase one 90% silver quarter, right? So you calculate that 5 silver quarters, right, would be 5 silver quarters in 1964 would have the approximate purchasing power of like $20 in 2015. So basically, it's not the problem of, it's not the employer's problem. It's not that they're greedy. It's not that they're exploiting, okay? The main problem is that the currency is hijacked, right? The currency is being destroyed by the Federal Reserve, by this legal counterfeiting operations, quantitative easing, 1, 2, 3, all this crap, all the bailouts, all that kind of stuff. It's being destroyed, right? And people are blaming their employer for the fact that their standard of living is going through the roof, and a healthy education in government, in what the Federal Reserve is, in Austrian economics, can remedy all of that, in my mind.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to it, instead of people looking internally, they're looking externally.
Right.
Who could help me? Who could fix my problems? So people, like I said, people are the government. They want them to provide a solution for them, so they don't have to worry about it. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's their problem. It's not the government's problem. But a lot of people tend to result to going to the government for that. But see, this is the solution, and in order to get away from all that, people need to think differently. Okay, if they want to make more money, they need to think more strategically. Okay, so I have a email series that I have a part of my newsletter. It's called "How to Upgrade Your Life Without Making More Money," and it's been very well received, very popular. And if people join my newsletter, they can be able to pick that up. But one way is expatriation. So right now I am here in San Miguel, Mexico, and there's a lot of business opportunities here that can be had, that people can find. So in the U.S., it could be depending on what industry you're getting into, it could be extremely difficult to start a business. You have to learn about permits, certifications, licenses, regulations. Depending on what industry you get into, you could wait up to a year before your business actually gets started.
Yeah.
You know, and places down here, like Mexico, where there's almost no regulation, you can start your business within like a few days. You know, you could just rent out a commercial storefront. And you're in business. No one's going to bother you. No one's going to hassle you or anything like that. So that's one option. Okay. Another option is by domestic migration, and where a person moves to a state that's more, I guess, more pro-business, more liberty-friendly. Some people like New Hampshire. They like that. They like up there. You have other places that are pretty pro-business, like Delaware, like Wyoming. Like Las Vegas, they're very pro-business states. So that's another option. Okay, and the last option is to just be self-employed, employ yourself. Find something that you're good at, or you can become good at, that you can do that will actually allow you to work from anywhere you want to. So for example, if a person is very good at photography, okay, well, they can use those services, have a website, and they could be able to sell those services via the internet. Okay, or if it's website design, they can do the same thing: programming, coding, graphic design, whatever it is. That's another skill. So those are three different ways and where a person can upgrade their lifestyle without making more money. Expatriation, you're going to save money because most countries, the cost of living is cheaper. You look at Mexico, you look at Colombia, you look at Romania, look at those countries, much cheaper. So you're going to have a higher quality of life with low cost of living. Domestic migration, if you live in California, you can move to a place like Texas and save a whole lot more money. You'll probably get the same house for much cheaper, and you'll get a higher quality of life. And then at the same time, the final one is if you become self-employed, well, you save quite a bit of money because you don't have to worry about, if you have kids, you don't have to worry about childcare costs. You don't have to worry about commuting costs, a lot of those different costs. You don't have to worry about, eating out all the time because you're at home. So those are a lot of different ways that people can save money so they can be able to, like I said, upgrade their lifestyle without making more money. But again, if a person is really into money, they have to make so much money because that's their fantasy or whatever. Like I said, there are lots of employers that will be happy to pay more money and offer you those type of positions.
Yeah, it's a good point you brought up about migration. It's like basically voting with your feet, right? So if you live in a place that's very oppressive, so many laws and regulations, permits, licensures, taxes, that hamper the small business entrepreneur, then you will vote with your feet by moving to a place where it's more business friendly, and the same goes with. Like if you already have an established business and you move the business to another country, let's say a tax haven, which people constantly vilify, like, those evil capitalists, like moving their businesses, closing down a plant in the United States, moving it, building it in Mexico, they're destroying local jobs, they're stealing from the people who live there. Like, well, why do they want to do that? Like, it's, just imagine how much expense and how much cost it requires, first of all, to shut down your operation and then open up another one over, let's say, over an ocean away. That's a massive amount of cost. And so in order for an entrepreneur or an employer to think that that's going to be beneficial for my business, I think that there has to be a massive amount of taxes and regulations that's destroying his company, that's making it so difficult for him to function, that he's saying, you know what, it's a better option if I go across the ocean. If I leave this place, that's better than if I stay here. And people think, no, they just want to steal the job. No, they want to continue their business, but they can't because they're being hindered.
For sure, a lot of car manufacturers are building plants in Mexico because it's much cheaper than the U.S. It's just not business friendly at all, as you spoke about. So it's just common sense. It's practical. It's what you need to do to sustain your business. But yeah, most people don't see it that way. And like I said, there's always going to be skew politics in that.
Yeah, and the other thing, the way I look at certain countries is that, like, certain countries, have a pretty high standard of living, because of previous freer markets, and now they're slowly becoming more and more oppressive and strangulated with all the laws and regulations, like the U.S., like many of the European countries, like in the
Yeah.
in the eurozone, and they're slowly going downhill as a result, right? People are
Yeah.
leaving, leaving, businesses are leaving, and they're going to tax haven, business friendly places like Mexico, like let's say like the Vietnam or Thailand or Cambodia or Hong Kong maybe, and so those places are the opposite. They're actually on the rise.
Yeah.
They're becoming more and more prosperous, more and more wealthy as the other places with the really the bureaucracy that's just all the red tape that's just slowing.
Right.
It's like molasses. It's just slowing the economy down so much, and then people wonder what's going on, why
Yeah.
why is the standard of living going up, and nobody wants to be here. The government is just trying to steal from the people and the businesses that are creating the wealth so much that people are leaving.
Yeah, the only countries in where that system works, as far as the high taxes and regulation and all that, is the Scandinavian countries. But when we look at that area, they have been historically and culturally like that. So for them, they're used to that. It's not like the U.S. was founded and bordered on capitalism, and to try to make a huge shift. It's going to take hundreds of years before everyone gets on board with that, But the reason why countries like Scandinavia, I mean, personally, it works for them. I'm not a fan of their model, but it works for them, and they're happy. So I don't have a lot of Nordic friends there. But the reason why, because a lot of times people say, well, hey, it works in Norway, why can't it work here? It works in this country, why can't it work here? But see, they don't see the underlying cause of that, like. Those countries have had a history, have had a culture of that, and that's why those countries have became like that. Like I said, it's not like the U.S. and where U.S. was born on capitalism. Like I said, that's just the way it is. But as I said before, it's not for the whole thing about government is you vote for somebody. You have some ideas, you vote for somebody, but now you're forcing your ideas on all these other bunch of people that didn't vote for that. So like I said, it's just when it comes to being an entrepreneur, or when it comes to just making money, it's just better just to go your own way instead of trying to use the government as a force to try to represent your beliefs.
Right. Yeah. Democracy is founded on violence. You're voting to subjugate your neighbor, right? You're trying to impose your beliefs on him, by through your representative, or if your representative loses, your neighbor imposes their beliefs on you, and it's just all about violence. And it's people think that's civilization. No, actually, that's uncivilized. That's that's barbaric, actually. I tell people we're still in the dark ages, right? Because we still believe in this medieval violent and oppressive system called government, and we think that people need, and without it that people think, oh, people are gonna rape and kill it and murder each other without end, and it's gonna be chaos. But
the thing about it is as long there is voting involved, you're always going to have unhappy people. Okay, so Democrats get voted in office. Okay, now Republicans are upset. Okay, Republicans get voted in office. Now Democrats are upset. See, that's the problem with like how about creating a system where almost everyone can be happy? But no, it's these two parties. Like I said, when one party gets in, this group of people are unhappy, and then vice versa, the other group of people are unhappy. How about just create a system, like a voluntary system, and where everyone can be happy? But like I say, unfortunately, most people don't think like that. But maybe soon, maybe eventually.
Yeah, and basically in a democracy, when people realize that, what, if I vote to get more free stuff, then I'm going to keep voting to get more free stuff. To steal, if I can vote to steal his stuff instead of me producing it myself and creating value, and people voluntarily wanting to buy from me, if I could just vote for this politician and he's going to give me free stuff because he's going to steal from that guy, everybody's going to want to do that. Everybody wants free stuff, right? Nobody wants to work, because that's the hardest thing. Like you said, that's the lazy part. Is when you appeal to your politician or to government to do stuff, you want free stuff, basically, right? And that free stuff has a cost. Somebody produced it, right? And that's the problem. That's how most representative democracies collapse, because this heavy burden of socialized medicine, socialized educations, socialized retirement funds, pensions, all these things are like molasses, just weighing down the economy, weighing down the people who are actually creating the value that the government is stealing from.
Yeah, it's ridiculous,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, it, it appears going to keep on persisting because people continue to support it, which
Right.
perpetuates the system.
Right.
And as long as people continue to do that, then that's always going to be the issue.
Right.
And like I said, it always go back. People need to look in here rather than out there. And if they
Right.
look in here first, they can have better perspective of how they need to go about their lives. For example, if a person that's not making more money, okay, maybe it's because they're always going out drinking, they're always going out partying, or they're
Right.
always going to the movies every week, or they're
Right.
always buying a new video game. It has nothing. It's not always because their employer is not paying them enough.
Right.
It's because they're mismanaging their money.
Mm-hmm.
And since they're mismanaging their money, and instead of them kind of fixing their money habits, they'll say, "Oh, well, it's not fair. I'm worth more. I want to get paid $15 an hour." That's not the solution. A lot of people are not taking responsibility for their actions,
Right.
and they rather expect the government to bail them out. It's the same thing with the banks. With the banks, when the banks fail, they want the bailout. Same thing with human beings. They want to bail out as well too because they don't want to take responsibility for their actions. Often, of course, I'm quite sure employers can pay employees more. Yeah, you can make an argument about that. But at the same time, I would go on to say if a person managed their money better, I'm quite sure they could save more money and they can maybe invest that and accrue more wealth rather than banging on the government's door expecting to get a raise for $15 an hour.
Yeah, exactly. But Kallen, I don't want to keep you too long. So why don't we finish up? And can you give the people again your the websites and links and places they can contact you if they want to follow your work?
Yeah, for sure. So that newsletter I talked about, people can go to reachingthefinishline.com to get my free newsletter. I have a lot of valuable information. We spoke about in this episode about how to upgrade your life without making more money. I have a lot of also great newsletters that's only available to my subscribers, so you can pick it up there. I have the podcast. That's at reachingthefinishline.com/podcast. And I have interviewed a lot of interesting guests, people from Shark Tank, Shai Reshev, which we talked about before, the president of the first tuition-free accredited college in the U.S., Matthew Lesko, Bethany Marshall, that's on Ultimate Fighter, and a lot of other interesting people as well. So they can find more at reachingthefinishline.com, and they can follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, follow my YouTube, and that. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kallen. I really appreciate it. So people, please stop blaming other people for your shortcomings. We got to take some self-responsibility. Become self-reliant, independent. I think that's the spirit of a true prosperous economy, right?
Absolutely.
It's founded on the hard work and the blood, sweat, and tears of people willing to put their neck on the line, right? to serve their fellow man. So.
Right, and that's the whole core message of Reaching the Finish Line. Is first you have to do is take responsibility for your actions, and until you're able to do that, you won't be successful.
Excellent message. Thank you very much, Kallen. Great talking with you. So this is so actually, if anybody wants to donate to my website or my YouTube channel, except Bitcoin, PayPal, and also Patreon. I finally got my Patreon account put up there, so I'm still working on it, but it's live. So anybody who wants to throw me some counterfeit confetti Federal Reserve notes, would be most appreciative. But or precious metals, if you're so inclined to donate gold and silver, you can try the USPS. I don't trust the black hole that is the USPS, but if you're willing to take the risk, I'm willing to try as well. So awesome. Thanks a lot, Kallen. Really appreciate the talk. So this is Peaceful Anarchism on the Voluntary Virtues Network and theconsciousresistance.com and theseedsofliberty.com. Wishing everyone have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.